put way too much effort into these lashes for this video. Alright, so as promised, Maggie and I said that we were going to make videos for you, telling you stories about when we experienced deeper faith. And I'm really excited to tell this story today because it's something that happened very recently that has kind of blown my mind in some of the most elemental ways. So as some of you might know, I am a youth leader at my church, which means I have the incredible privilege of teaching young people from the Bible. Recently, we were in a series called The Miracles of God, and I got to share my personal Old Testament favorite miracle involving my Bible crush, Joshua. So you might have known him from stories like, oh, I don't know, the Battle of Jericho. This story, by the way, is found in Joshua chapter 10, verses 1 through 14. I highly encourage you to go there so that you know I'm not lying to you. We entered this story when the current king of Jerusalem is sort of freaking out because Josh and the Israelites are taking over the land. So this king decides that he's going to join forces with some other kings and attack the people, the Gibeonites, that are under Joshua and the Israelites' protection. And they figure they hit them first, then when they all join forces and everybody's all freaked out, they can try and attack the Israelites and hopefully win. The other kings agree and they attack the Gibeonites. The Gibeonites start freaking out and send messages to Joshua saying, hey, can you help us out? We're dying here. Literally. So Joshua, thinking it was the right thing to do, he had promised these people protection, even though he probably shouldn't have. So without missing a beat, he gets up, all of his homies walk 20 miles through the night to go help out the Gibeonites. And here's the thing, when he gets there, God says, Joshua, I have your back. So without resting, 20 miles they walked, okay? Through the night. So they had spent like a whole day doing whatever it is that they did. Then they got this message and were like, yep, let's go. 20 miles they hiked through the night, and when they got there, God was like, I've got your back. And they were like, okay, let's do this. So then they fight a battle. Crazy things start to happen when God confuses their enemies. They're all freaking out, and the Israelites, Joshua, and the Gibeonites fight back. So they're slaying people right and left, and then God comes in the middle of it and starts raining down hailstorms on their enemies, basically killing a butt ton of them. Yes, a butt ton. So while they're slaying people right and left, Joshua looks around in the midst of this battle and says to himself, there is not enough time in this day to finish this thing. So right there in the middle of everything, he stops and he prays to God, stop the sun and the moon so we can finish what we started here. And what happens? But God stops the day. They had a full another day of sunlight and they end up winning the battle. Let's not miss what happened here. God extended daylight. Just like he walked on water, just like he calmed the raging sea, God created every element in this universe, and therefore all of them are under his control. This is a monumental thing. It's too huge for us to understand. We have no reference point for this. You either believe that God is powerful enough to control all of the elements of the earth or you don't. I mean, that's up to you. You have to decide that. But there is truth to be learned here from God and Joshua that we can apply to our own lives. We don't have to fear anything when we know that God is in control of everything. If we trust God and walk in obedience to the calling that he has on our life, we can trust that God is going to have it and we will be on the winning side. This might be an elemental truth for you and you might have been like, yeah, bleh, I know, I get it, Ellie, I get it. But it had a real impact on my life recently. I realized that although this is one of my favorite stories ever, that I actually was having trouble believing in the full extent of God's power and control. And I didn't even know it. But Ellie, you work at a church. Yeah, I know. See, our unbelief in God's infinite power and control actually limits our ability to have a deeper faith and a participation in his displays of power. Let me explain. Disclaimer, this is not a cute story. Recently, my tongue got swollen to like 3 times its size. For like 3 days straight, I wasn't able to speak, I couldn't eat, I was in a huge amount of pain. And also, it was disgusting. Turns out this adorable little treat of a situation was a result of stress in my life. When I came to the conclusion of my 3 days of forced silence was that actually this was a spiritual issue. See, God tells us not to worry and not to stress because he's in control, and that's what brings us genuine peace. See, stress is an indicator that we actually believe that we are in control of our lives. And when that reality is tested, we freak out. God never promised us an easy life, right? He actually promised there would be difficulties. But he did also promise that he would be in control of it all. And all of that came together the second night I was going to teach this message about Joshua. So our youth leaders get together before we go into youth group and we pray for the night, we pray for our students. And so before we went in, my mind was racing. I was thinking of plan B. How are we going to teach anything tonight if I can't speak? Someone's gonna have to wing it up there, or we're gonna have to watch a video. So as prayer requests were being given, I flippantly threw out as best as I could, given the fact that I couldn't really speak, asking prayer for my tongue. So there I was, with my little eyes closed, as my boss was praying over us, and he started to pray for my tongue and asking that God in his power would heal my tongue. And I had this really terrible thought in my mind, yeah, that's gonna happen. And I hated that I had that thought, but I kind of just blew past it. And he's still in the middle of praying for my tongue when I feel God speak to me. And I wanna say at this point that doesn't happen to me all the time. It doesn't even happen to me often, but when it does, it is life-changing. So God speaks to me and he says the most terrifying thing that I could have ever heard. Do you even believe the truth that you're about to speak about me tonight? And when God asks you a question like that, you're stunned into silence. And all I could muster out was, yes. And he asked another question. Do you believe that I could stop the sun and moon for Joshua? Very slowly and very deliberately, my heart said, yes. And he asked a third question. Do you believe that I can heal your tongue? Very slowly and very deliberately, my heart said, yes. I can't even still believe that it happened. In that moment, my tongue swelling went down. I spoke the rest of the night with a passion that I've never felt in a long time. I've never experienced anything like that. I don't know if you guys have experienced supernatural healing, but I grew up in a family that didn't really talk about that kind of stuff. So I've always been kind of uncomfortable about it. And when I experienced it firsthand, I was blown away. I was immediately challenged with how much I actually believed that God was in control and how much power he actually had. And I had to come face to face with the reality that God has infinite power and he has infinite control. Right there in the midst of my unbelief, God proved to me that he's more powerful than I could have ever imagined. And he didn't even have to do that. What a terrifying and incredible privilege it was to experience his power firsthand. So listen, I hope this encourages you to experience deeper faith by believing in God's power so deeply, just like Joshua did, without hesitation, with incredible courage. But if you're like me and you find yourself doubting, just know that that doesn't change anything. That God is still infinitely powerful and infinitely in control, more than you could ever imagine. And if we believe that God has the power to stop the sun and the moon, then we believe that he has the power to lead you to the right career, to mend your broken heart, to give you the right words when you're trying to encourage someone. So you get to decide how you're going to experience his incredible power. And I hope the way you choose to do that is like Joshua, without reservations, with incredible courage, stepping into the things that he's calling you to do. Because he will go before you. He will prepare the way. What you have to do is believe in the power and the infinite control that he has. See, how you act says a lot about who you believe God is. So what I want to ask you guys today is, does your faith in who God is and what he's capable of shine through in the way that you live your life? And if not, what needs to change? So that's it for today, and I'm very excited for you guys to hear from Maggie next week and what she has to bring to the table. In the meantime, make sure you're checking out hegoesbefore.com, following us on Twitter and Instagram. We love connecting with you guys, so make sure you leave a comment here or at our Facebook, and we hope to hear from you soon.